So a new movie called Birds of Passage from the creators of Embrace of the Serpent, which I absolutely loved. It's another film about indigenous people, but this time inflected by genre cinema. Set in Northern Colombia, starts in the late 60s, and it's a film which has a crime narrative intertwined with the stuff that we've seen before in Embrace of the Serpent, I think. So it kind of has the epic sweep of The Godfather. And in fact, the co-director said to some extent this should be seen as The Godmother. A young woman at the beginning emerges from a coming-of-age confinement, a ritual coming-of-age confinement, to be courted by a young man who has trade connections with the outsiders, with gringos. He wants to marry her, but his own family he lost when he was young, and he has been brought up amongst foreigners. He is told that because of this, he will have to get a substantial dowry of goats and cows and necklaces. And he and his friend, whilst attempting to fulfill the dowry, meet some American Peace Corps hippies who are in search of marijuana. And they realize that actually, if they start supplying that, they can make money faster and more money than before. And what happens is that he gets the dowry, but with such riches such riches come at a price. And the film is then about one culture being sort of superseded by another. And what I love about it is it tells its story. It's almost like a tone poem. It has, as I said, the trappings of genre cinema. So, there are the kind of things that you would expect from genre cinema, but it's really tonal. The film begins in very earthy tones, and the rich colours of it feel, it has a very natural palette. And as the film goes on and as it progresses through time, those natural tones are replaced by garish polyester shirts and by the glint of guns and by the sound of gunfire. And respect and nobility becomes superseded by disrespect, by disloyalty, by internecine war. It's very much about a kind of matrilineal society getting caught in the middle of a war which turns brothers against brothers. It has a fantastic soundtrack, which seems to kind of come up from the landscape. I was talking recently about Paris, Texas, and I was saying, the way that the sound of the Rycuda guitar in Paris, Texas, when Harry Dean Stanton comes out of the desert, and it's like the guitar has come out with him. And this had a very, very similar thing, that the sounds of the instrumentation seem to come up from the ground and mix musical notation with ambient sound. And there's a lot of singing. The film begins and ends with singing, with poetry and song. In fact, it begins and ends with a singing shepherd who is singing to remember a story that is already being forgotten. And he talks about, I have to remember it because otherwise it will go away like footprints in the sand being removed by wind. And again, it's this really great combination of a personal story, a family story, and a story about a culture clash of past and present, but also a film that has, kind of wider political implication about the way in which, society changes, and about the way in which the values that connect a people to the land in which they belong get lost in this, in inverted commas, progress. And I found it. I thought it was really terrific. I loved Embrace of the Serpent anyway, but I thought it was really good. And what I liked about it was that it had the trappings of genre cinema, but it didn't lose any of the authenticity that you expect from these filmmakers. And it's called Birds of Passage.